Hello, good morning, and welcome to the Comics Experience Graphic Novel of the Month Club for Kids for the month of December 2020. It is the final Kids Club of the year. It's the final video thing that we're doing at all for the year, so because the holidays are coming up right away. So happy holidays to all of you who might be watching this. I want to thank you for joining us this month. We have got a really swell book. The book is The Mega Dogs of New Kansas by Dan Jolly. Is it Jolly or Jolie?
It is Jolly.
It's Jolly. Very good. I got it right in the first time. I shouldn't have even questioned myself. And Jacques Corry. Did I?
Perfect. Hello?
There's Jacques. Hey.
Hi everyone.
Welcome, guys. Where did Mega Dogs come from?
I had done a ton of stuff for Lerner Books years ago. They had one series called Twisted Journeys, which is kind of like choose your own adventure, but it had a lot of sequential art in it. And they had another series called Graphic Myths and Legends, which is folk tales, like classics illustrated. And I had written a bunch of those. I think I wrote 9 or 10 of the Twisted Journeys books. Anyway, I had gone off and started doing other stuff. And one of the things that I started doing was writing the Warriors manga side stories for Tokyo Pop and later just directly for HarperCollins. Warriors, or as it's becoming known, Warrior Cats, is this series of prose novels featuring different tribes of sentient cats in the British countryside. That has I think it's technically middle grade, maybe YA, but it's sold something like 40 million copies worldwide. And so they decided that they wanted to do some like side stories and fill in some gaps here and there and do them as manga. So to date, I have written all of the Warriors manga stuff for HarperCollins and the company that owns the Warriors Working Partners. And so I had just finished up like a 200-page Warriors volume. And I thought, I really enjoy writing about animals, but I haven't ever written anything about dogs specifically. And I haven't talked to anybody at Lerner in a long time. Let me see what happens. And I reached out and wound up talking to Greg Hunter. And, I said, I used to work for Lerner a lot years ago. Could I pitch you an idea? And he was very receptive. And I, working at a video game company in California, they had a policy where you could bring your dogs to work. And so one of the guys there had this Bernese mountain dog named Zod. And Zod would come in every day and make the rounds and go to every desk and get, head scratches and whatnot. And I just thought Zod was great. So thinking about him as a template, like the Warrior stuff has supernatural overtones. And so I thought, well, I'll do dogs, but make it science fiction. And that's just kind of where everything sprang from. A story.
You're sort of saying it's the Bizarro universe version of Warriors?
Kinda, yeah.
Take everything, turn it around upside down.
A little bit, yeah.
Interesting. Okay. And so you envisioned this as a graphic novel all the way along, I'm assuming? Yeah. Is there a different rhythm in writing or pitching a graphic novel than there is a periodical comic?
Well, yeah. For a continuing series, you have to demonstrate how it's going to continue.
Yeah.
And that's like you get procedural shows on TV. That's one of the reasons why they're so popular, is that it's easy to continue. You had 15 seasons of Criminal Minds because there's always going to be another freak job out there that's killing people for the profilers to go track down. For something like this, it's a complete story. And, it's like pros and cons, because if you're pitching a continuing series, you do want to give them the complete story for like the first 2 or maybe 3 story arcs, and then broad strokes as to how it would continue. But if you're pitching a complete story, then you need to know what that story is.
Yeah.
If you're pitching something to a company that is going to be writing you a check for doing this work, you can't say, and so this happens and this happens, and then you're going to love the ending. Because they don't know if they're going to love what you have in mind. And if they're going to be paying you money to write it, then, you have to convince them that what you want to do is something that they're going to deem worthy of remuneration. I basically, once Greg said, I'm interested, then I had to outline the entire story.
Yeah.
And get that approved. And once that was approved, then he was like, okay, let's talk about artists. Got this guy, Jacques Coury. I want you to take a look.
Okay.
And I said,
good.
I like this Jacques Coury guy.
Yeah.
He was like, I don't know this guy. Who is he?
Full script at that point, or were you just the outline?
What was that?
Did you have the full script written at that point, or just the outline?
Outline.
Yeah, it was just the outline.
Okay.
Yeah, I got the outline. I don't know if you had finished the script, but maybe Greg lied to me. I just got the outline at the time. I got the outline, and I got a little bit of character description, a character description sheet. And after reading the outline, I found it really, really cool, and I was like, yeah, let's jump on board. I remember it was really odd because it was the same situation as Dan. I reached out to Greg wanting to do a Western, and I had done a couple of pages. And it's really weird that he paired us together, because it was just like, hey, I want to do a Western. I really want to draw horses and gunfighters. And here's a couple of pages I tested out with like a little washed out color schemes and everything. And he's like, I got this great science fiction story for you. I was like, okay, sure. Yeah, let me read it. And oddly enough, I'm a huge dog lover, but you chose not a cool dog to draw, because they have like a lot of like, you couldn't have chosen like a bulldog or something, because they have like a silk coat, whereas the Burmese dogs are more shaggy. So it was quite a visual challenge for me.
Writing comic book scripts is the most technically challenging form of writing that I have ever done.
Yeah.
And I learned to do comic book scripts first. So an analogy that I'm fond of using is that it's like learning to drive on a 2-ton flatbed truck with a 3-speed manual transmission. If you can learn to drive that, everything else after that will be easy. And like, I had been writing comics for like 10 years and then wrote my first novel. And I got into writing the like actual prose, and I felt like the chapters can be any number of pages that I want them to be.
Wait, what?
I can just write as many words as I feel like. It was like that. It's like that Seinfeld episode where Kramer was painting over the lines and made wide lanes. Like, oh wow, it's so luxurious.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, but I think it makes one a better writer to be able to write within constraints and within boundaries.
Yeah, I mean,
like trying to figure out how to get everything onto a page.
Exactly. Yeah.
There's 4 different ways I could do this. Which is the way that's the most economical? Which is the way that propels the story the best? It's always a challenge, right, Jacques?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you have to understand that like in animation, storyboards for animation and everything, we have different senses. You have temporal time, you have audio, you have everything else. You have, it's three parts: visual, motion, and audio. Whereas comic books, it's like visual and that's it. So it's really, for me, it's like, okay, I got to put speech bubbles, I got to put special effects, and I got to make it look like it's moving and it's progressing from panel to panel. Obviously, the gutter is my only indication of time moving between panels and everything. There's other tricks, of course, but yeah, for sure. I mean, it's. I remember somebody telling me, like, in comic books, you're a graphic designer, you're an illustrator, you're a storyboard artist, and I forgot what the other thing was, but like you're a page layout guy, and it's like, and you're a colorist. It's like, all right, this is easy. When do I get to start? It's like, it's going back to your first question. Every day, I'm like, why am I doing comic books? But it's. Yeah, there is definitely those difficulties.
I want to just sort of push back, not push back, a little bit on one thing you said, that in animation and film you control time, but my sense is that the frame rate controls time, right? Because the next frame always comes. It never stops coming. It never. You can pause an image, obviously, and hold it on the frame for a long time, right? But in comics, the audience controls time. Is always been the way I feel about it. The audience decides how long it takes them to process a page. The audience will often go back multiple pages to re-watch a sequence, which never ever happens in a film. I mean, I guess you could stop it and rewind, but nobody does that in practice, right?
I'm sorry to interrupt, but if, like, in a comic, for me, if I'm doing a comic and they feel the need to go back to somewhere, it means that visual, like, let's say, oh, I didn't know he had a watch and the watch was important. That means that the original panel that I had put the watch, let's say, or whatever it is, I made a mistake. You understand? I feel my goal is for the person to be able to follow a story. I totally agree with you. My audience has control of time, whereas a movie, we don't have control of. We the editors, our directors and everything control time. So it's vice versa. But in the comic, I try to, like, this is honest. I try to tell myself I don't want the person reading it to go back. If he or she goes back, I feel like I've done a layout mistake or a composition mistake. But maybe it's just my crazy quirks. I don't know.